Good day, everybody. My name is Suzanne Gelderblom. I'm one of the psychologists working at Stabilis Treatment Center for Substance Abuse. I'm sure that as a family member, you have asked yourself several times, why is it that my spouse, my father, my mother, my brother chooses alcohol or booze over us? It is actually not that simple, and this is why I'd like to address all family members today and try and explain to you and give you some insight into why is it that your family member chooses to continue using alcohol despite the fact that they can see the damage and the negative impact it has on your relationship and all of the destruction that it actually causes. So I'm sure anger, frustration, loss of hope, wanting to throw in the towel are some of the emotions that you have felt on a regular basis during the time that your family member has been abusing alcohol. And that you often ask yourself, but why do you choose to continue doing this? And I think the important thing to understand here and to also realize is that alcohol changes a person's brain chemistry, rendering them to be powerless towards the substance. So during the time that the person abuses the substance, that's in other words, during the time that the substance is in control, they don't really have the choice because there's two things that actually pushes them towards that drink. Firstly, it is the perception on their side that emotionally they would not be able to cope without the substance, without that fix. And then secondly, it's on a physical basis where if they don't have their fix or they don't drink in time, that they would then suffer severe withdrawal symptoms and cravings, which sometimes makes it impossible for them to resist the substance. So therefore, I would strongly encourage all of the family members to learn about this disease. It is not just simply a choice. I always say to my patients in the clinic, if you literally put yourself here and the substance here, and you think to yourself, okay, well, every time that you choose to have a drink, you choose the drink above us. It's not as simple as that. When they choose to drink, you are actually not part of the picture. They actually exclude you from the choice, because at that stage, the only thing that matters and the only thing that sort of controls them and pushes them towards what is my next move is the substance. So therefore, what I always say to the patients that's in treatment, but also to the families of patients, is that the one thing that you can't afford to do during this time that you are going through a pattern of abuse of a substance and you're part of it because you're impacted by it, is to never ever, and I know this is easier said than done, but if you can practice this, it will literally give you a means to continue pushing on. And this is to not take anything personal, okay? It's not a competition between you and the substance. It, it will never be a competition between you and the substance. I know at the end of the day, if the abuse continues and if the destruction that goes along with the abuse continues, that sometimes, unfortunately, family members are left with the very difficult choice to have to say, we are done, we can't do this anymore, we are getting hurt on a continuous basis, and this problem is just not going away. I know there are cases like that. But at the end of the day, if your family member is motivated, is willing to come for treatment, if they go for the treatment, and you can become part of that treatment and get educated about this disease, I'm sure that it will be easier for you to understand what they are going through, because the alcoholic is just as powerless in the situation as the family member. When the drinking stops being fun, yet they continue drinking, we are talking about an addiction. It's not a choice anymore. It is something that drives them. It is something that renders them powerless. And I've had to deal with families where some of the substance dependents, where they try to commit suicide because they are made aware of the impact, the negative impact that the substance abuse has on the family. They feel so guilty about it, but yet they don't know how to prevent this because they are driven by the substance. They feel they need to use the substance, otherwise they're not going to be able to cope. So once they do go into treatment, we obviously help them and support them and give them skills to have a life after treatment, where in their recovery they feel that they have the power again. They feel that they can make better choices and hopefully develop the skills to deal with the things that they normally did not deal with, and avoid it by using the substance. But we need to understand that this is never an easy process. Any habit that any person develops over a period of time is difficult to break. And if that habit was the one thing that at a certain point in your life made sense to you, then there's a hell of a lot of work to do in order to change all of this. If you, as a family member, can move away from the feeling or the idea that this is a personal competition, that my husband or my wife or my father or my mother chooses to drink because the alcohol or the substance is more important to them than us, then you are never ever going to be able to support your spouse in dealing with this problem and hopefully in recovering from it. So again, I want to encourage all of the family members to get educated on this, to learn about this disease, to go for support yourself. There's many support groups for families of alcoholics online, and also your Al-Anon groups that you can go and visit to get educated on this, but also to give you support, because like I said previously, I'm sure that emotions like frustration, severe anger, resentment, loss of hope has been some of the things that you have been feeling throughout this process. Therefore, support for you is also very important. I often realize when I'm working with the families of substance abusers that they tend to lose themselves. Their focus is primarily only on solving the problem, on making sure that the spouse is not using the substance or is trying to use less of the substance, and in the process they actually tend to lose themselves. They are not emotionally taking care of themselves, and this makes it eventually impossible for you again to support your family member. So support for yourself, taking care of yourself, getting educated about this disease, and lastly, not taking anything that happens during the time that the person abuses the substance personally. Those are my recommendations for you to be able to cope with the situation, and hopefully when your spouse does go into recovery and eventually also after their treatment, that you can have a normal life afterwards, and that you can hopefully also experience joy in your relationships. Good luck with this, and please feel free to contact the center speak to any of the therapists. You can also ask to speak to me. My name is Suzanne Gelderblom, like I said, psychologist at Stabilis Treatment Centre. Thank you. Good day. Bye.